The Blog Talk Radio got 5 seconds according to Blog Talk Radio survey. All right. Well, welcome to another edition of the Crescent discussion. Get it out of your mouth.
Eric, are you live on StreamYard?
Yes, I am. Yep, it says live. I've been live for 2 minutes.
Maybe it's just my YouTube. I'm just not seeing it.
There is a delay.
No, I mean there's nothing.
Oh, well.
I see it on my end. My end.
Okay, maybe it's just me. All right.
All right. Well, let me start over.
Of
the Crescent discussion group.
Wow. That is weird.
We are here every Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we're generally here for about 2 hours.
Hold on. It says waiting for Crescent discussion group on my end.
Oh, you're seeing the same thing. Okay, I think there's two up here. I see why. One says debate is the Quran, is the word of God.
We're on the debate.
Yeah, there's two. It's the other one.
Right.
The other one is it has people waiting. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, there's going to be a debate? All right, let me go to that
one. Yeah.
Well, you might want to cancel the other one then.
Okay. How do I do that? Okay, let me.
You can't do it while you're live.
Why not? I can do anything when I'm live. I'm going to cancel you. Jesus versus Muhammad. Out you go.
Yeah, that's where I
delete. Okay, now tell me if you see it. Try refreshing.
I found the YouTube, so I'm okay.
I mean YouTube version. We're live.
All right,
we're live. And we're live because it says live right here. We've been live for 3.5 minutes and accomplished absolutely nothing.
We're a professional crew. We're a professional crew. We know what we're doing.
Maybe not so much. Okay, so today we're going to have a debate, or we were supposed to have a debate. Let me bring up this gentleman's. I don't think there's anything that you're not allowed to see here. So let me share my screen. How do I do that again? Let's see. It says present, share screen, and what is this? This is, here we are. Okay, let me try that. Share. Okay, can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Not well.
All right. Well, let me make it bigger here. There we go. Okay, so this is from Facebook, and this is one of the groups that I post in. I posted an open debate challenge to any follower of Muhammad or anyone who thinks he was a prophet. And the topic is going to be, is the Quran a word of God? And we got 20-minute opening, 10-minute rebuttals, 10-minute cross, and then 10-minute close. And you go down here. This gentleman, Cypher, and I don't know. I don't know where he's from. and we got into it. Yes, of course. Okay, and okay, we're both in Central Time Zone, he says, and then I sent him the StreamYard link today in Messenger, and then I sent it here, and I don't see him. So,
and he chickened out.
I don't know. Okay. Let me just say this. Let me just say this about this guy. I mean, most of the people, virtually everybody else that replies to this message here, they're just nasty about it. And I could go ahead and provide you a whole laundry list of examples of it, but I won't bore you with it. You guys know the deal. But this guy was just straight and to the point, and he didn't give me any mess about it. So I figured that, because he said here, when it says right here, yes, I will come after I send him the StreamYard link. And I don't know where he is. So I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I tell you what, here's what we'll do. I had that other part for the show that we were going to do. We're going to do a comparison of Jesus Muhammad. And let's just do that until this gentleman shows up. Does that sound like a plan? I'm okay. Okay, quit being such a pessimist.
I'm not a pessimist. I'm just a realist.
Okay, well, quit being so real then. Let's live in our own little world here. Okay, so let me go ahead and can I show this? Does this show up? No, that's not it. Let me go back. Stop screen share, present, screen share, and entire screen. There it is. Bada bing, bada boom, bada swing, swada shwoom. Got it. Okay, so we are at our max -1. So if anybody else comes, I might have to drop a couple of you guys out if he does show up.
Yeah, I'll gladly drop out.
Okay, well, if you see him come up, then, I'm not going to add any more people until I'm going to give him some time to come anyway. All right, so today, as we reflect on Easter and what it represents for us as Christians, we spend a lot of time thinking of what a great God we worship and what he did for us. And at the same time, Muslims do the same thing during the month of Ramadan. And they're very reflective about what a great prophet Muhammad was, or supposedly was. I always have to add that in there. And I hate doing that, but I'm going to stick to my guns that I'm always going to use that qualifier when I start referring to Muhammad. I start referring to the supposed Quran, not just being the word of God, and the supposed place of Mecca. Because none of them can be proven outside of Islamic literature. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the difference between Jesus and Muhammad. So I've made a slideshow like I always do. And we're just going to do a side-by-side comparison. If you feel you want to comment on any of these, you just go right on ahead. All right. So first one, we have Jesus was virgin born. Muhammad, not. He didn't really know he didn't even know his father. I think didn't his dad die when he was before he was born? Is that
for 3 to 5 years before he was born?
That's right.
Another miracle.
Yeah.
So it's not a virgin birth, it's an eternal pregnancy.
That's right.
Instead of getting dropped on his head, he needed extra incubation.
Yeah, and that comes out of a hadith. Am I correct on that? That's from the hadith literature.
I don't know if it's hadith, but Muslim believer. I remember the first time I heard a Muslim say that early on. He was very impressed with that. It's like, yes. So you think that Jesus is virgin born, but Muhammad was born 4 years after his father died. Think of that.
His mother was what it implies is his mother was an adulterer, which would negate his pride. That's why he doesn't get that. I mean, that's the part they don't get that.
Then he got really well. When I pointed that out to him, he got really, really mad and said he was going to kill me because Islam was really the beast. Yeah.
Well, he'll have to come to that jail that you're sitting in right now, Rad.
Yeah, that's right. Don't tell anybody. They actually let me out to cross the border to go to the Chicago Marathon too. So, yeah, I'm telling you, the criminal justice system in Wisconsin is really lax here.
All right, let's go to the number 2. All right. Okay. Jesus has an entire calendar patterned after his birth, after his life. Now, I know what you're saying, but Muhammad does too. This is true, but it's not based after his life. It's just based after the Hijra, or the pilgrimage from Mecca to Medina. And what was that, 621, 622, 623, somewhere around there? So you do have a calendar patterned after Muhammad. Jesus died a disgraceful death, being the process of crucifixion is one of the most painful ways that somebody can be put to death, but it's also one of the most disgraceful because you're completely stripped of any clothing, and you're hung out there for everybody to come by and spit on you and do whatever they want to you as you're hanging from that cross in agony for what could be days. But then at the same time, Muhammad died a disgraceful death too, because when you think about this, he died saying he felt as if his aorta was being cut out. Well, what was that hadith that said that if anybody was a prophet or a false prophet, that God would do what to them?
Well,
that's the Quran.
That's
the Quran.
That's the Quran.
Says,
69, 44, 45, 46. Surah 69.
Muhammad lived a disgraceful life as well as he deserved like a disgraceful death.
That is funny because he says that if Allah, I think it's if Allah's if Muhammad is a false prophet, that Allah will rip his aorta out, and that's exactly what it's exactly what Muhammad claims is happening.
Okay.
Well, not only that, but he was poisoned by a Jew 4 years before.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And he suffered for those 4 years.
Yes.
All right. So here's what the hadith or the Quran says. And if Muhammad had made up about us false sayings, we would have seized him by the right hand, and we would have cut from him the aorta. So there you go. You have the Quran confirming that Muhammad was a false prophet. Whoops, what did I do here? I think I just did something wrong. Okay, so that was a disgraceful death.
Here's the next thing. I'm putting it into the private chat, which is the hadith. The prophet in his ailment in which he died used to say, Aisha, I feel the pain caused by the food I ate at Kaibar, and at this time I feel as if my aorta is being cut from that poison. Sahih al-Bukhari, Volume 5, Book 59, Hadith 713.
Okay, bingo. So
there's one more. There's
what?
one more you need to hear. Okay. It is whoever drinks poison and kills himself with it, he will be carrying his poison in his hand and drinking it in the hellfire, where he will abide eternally forever. Sahih al-Bukhari, Book 76, Hadith 90.
Whoever drinks poison and kills himself with it, he will carry his poison in his hand. Yeah, well, I think that's people committing suicide is who they're talking about. That one kills himself.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, how do you know this is true? I mean, were you really there? The only people that know if Muhammad ate poison or not was Muhammad and the lamb shank that talked to him.
Were you there in Kaibar? Exactly.
Well, the thing is, al-Bukhari wasn't it written in Baghdad? Was it Baghdad?
Exactly.
So it wasn't actually even written in the Hijaz area.
Yeah.
So
you know, exactly.
All right, let's go to the next one.
That just condemns all of Sahih Bukhari, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Jesus was resurrected. He's risen indeed. Amen.
Again.
Muhammad's still in his tomb. Even if
wait a minute, isn't he supposed to? Isn't his body not supposed to decompose?
I don't know about that, but I would like somebody to do some forensics on that. I mean, when we think about the Western mindset, I mean, think about the Shroud of Turin, just as an example. How many times? I mean, that is the most studied artifact in human history. That's compared to every other artifact out there. And so, wouldn't it be more open, don't you think, that if somebody could go in there and do some forensics on the tomb of Muhammad to see if this is in fact?
Well, I think they're scared that they might discover that the body hasn't been there for maybe 500 years.
Well, well, either way, where he's buried now is like a parking lot or something. They paved it over.
No, that's his birth. I think that's his birthplace. We're talking about his body is supposed to be up in Medina.
No, they also renovated Medina too. They actually there's like real controversy. One of the prophet's wives is underneath where a toilet is now. Yeah, it was like a real big thing.
In Medina?
They put in a public toilet. They renovated that too.
Wow.
They have a lot of reverence to those people they consider important.
Well, actually, that's the ISIS Muslims. Well, not the ISIS Muslims at the time, but the Sahih. What are they called? Not Sahih Muslims. I can't think of it.
Wahhabi.
Yeah, the Wahhabs. Yeah, well, that's an insult to them, Wahhabs, but they're called something else. I think it starts with an S. But either way, yeah. But no, no, that's their thing. They are against trinkets. They're against mementos. They are against because supposedly they do have in Egypt like one of his many swords, his sandal. I think a lock of his red hair. So Muhammad was really a Scotch Irishman. But yeah, but they hate those people. Those are the ones that the Taliban. That's why they destroy everything they come in contact with, because there shall be nothing of the time of ignorance. Because remember, the Hijra is year null, year zero. That's where actually everything began. So anything before that, just like, I mean, no, this is any cult like this, just like, Nazi Germany wanted to do it that way. The Cambodians, they wanted to do it that way. Well, they did do it that way. Year null. I mean, seriously, everything starts at one point, and everything before, forget about it. It's stupid people. Sorry.
Did they try to switch to like instead of having a 7-day work week, like having an 8-day work week, or at some point,
or 10-day or something like that?
The Muslim? Yeah. Oh no, that was the French at the French Revolution. They tried that.
Oh, was it French? Give it to the French. You got to love the French for doing stuff like that. All right. Let's go to the next point. Okay, so he was virgin born. He has an entire calendar, died a disgraceful death, was resurrected. Muhammad wasn't, and he ascended into heaven. Muhammad is still there. And I mean, I think, again, that it would be a great discussion is to, you think this is the grave of Muhammad, prove it. Can you prove it? Can you provide any type of evidence? And any type of evidence, the same type of evidence that you demand from Christians? Why can't you provide those yourself?
Well, I mean, we could listen to Aisha and we'll learn that Muhammad was sleeping in bed when he was supposed to be having this this night journey.
Oh, on the Pegasus, the Barak, whatever it was. Yeah.
When he was riding the flying ass.
Yes.
Don't you remember we learned from the debate with Dr. Brown and the one Muslim that that Muhammad had even a bigger miracle because he flew to heaven, the highest part of heaven, on the donkey. So that
would be a miracle. That would be a miracle if he did.
And they have proof of that. Do you know the proof of that? Because when the donkey was flying back, a camel died in the desert in the middle of the night.
Can't have camels dying.
It died of fright. It was frightened. It saw
Muhammad. All right. Where was the camel and where was Muhammad when that? Yeah. Okay. No locations. No proof. Yeah.
Eric, can I chime in?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I recently read. This was just the other day. And the Muslims are saying that when Muhammad's donkey landed in Jerusalem, that he tied him up to to a stone. They're claiming that that stone is the Wailing Wall that the Jews go to. I thought that was pretty curious. It's like everything the Jews, right? Everything the Jews hold, sacred or history. It's like the Muslims just want to cloak right up to it.
Right.
Yeah.
What's funny is that when they were doing the hunt for the temple, and they figured out that the Wailing Wall was part of a Roman garrison. So, that's one of the big theories right there, because even in the Bible it says every stone was knocked down from the temple.
Total destruction. Well, they were peeling gold out. It got
I hold to that too, man, Ron. Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's see here. Let's see. Jesus had a direct relationship with God. Of course, being God himself, he would have this direct relationship, but he talked to God face to face. And Muhammad received messages from an angel, not God. Now, so my question is,
go ahead. Wait, Eric. So, didn't he claim to be a prophet, or don't Muslims say he's a prophet?
That's what they say, yes.
Okay, so let's see. Moses spoke to God. Can you name a prophet in the Bible that didn't hear from God and heard just from an angel?
That's what I was going to ask. And I am not aware. If there is, I'm not aware of any. Most
there isn't any in the Bible.
By God, right?
Exactly.
So he's
Daniel,
less than he's less.
Daniel was visited by Gabriel, but he also saw the hand of God writing on the wall. Many, Taco you Farson.
Well, he had direct revelations from God as well.
Yes, he heard the word of the Lord.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, in order to be a prophet, you have to be able to hear God.
But
that's what the biblical meaning is.
The entirety of his message was not given to him by Gabriel. It was Gabriel with him in the lion's den. Is that?
Oh yeah, it was Gabriel that actually showed up to give him a direct answer from God right after right as he was asking for. I forget exactly what it was, but we figured out that it took 4 seconds for Daniel to ask the question, and the angel was there by the time he finished the question. So we know that an angel can get from the throne room to Jerusalem in 4 seconds.
That's pretty fast. All right, next one. Next.
Wait. Hold on. So you guys, okay. So Allah's the Quran is Allah's eternal speech. It's in Allah's language. In other words, this is constantly being recited in heaven. Okay, no mere mortal can hear it. So, or no.
Why should anybody hear?
So yeah. Why do we have to suffer? No creature can hear it, right? So who translated it? Allah's direct speech to the angel. If the angels cannot even interact with Allah, then how do we know that the angel Gabriel got it right? Remember, angels, according to Islam, can make mistakes. Okay?
You also got the thing that Muhammad was illiterate and couldn't read or read or write.
Right. Exactly.
So he couldn't write it down anyway. So
exactly.
It's like
So here we have the thing. We have who translated it, so Gabriel could understand it, and then how did Gabriel translate it to Arabic that Muhammad could understand because he was illiterate? How did that happen? And how can we say any of this is true because none of us were there in the cave except Muhammad and the angel Gabriel?
But the thing is, what evidence do we even have that Muhammad even spoke Arabic?
Well, we do know he drooled on himself and grunted like a camel. So,
No, but I mean, because the aspect of Arabic was only standardized in the 10th century or the under Abdul Malik.
Right,
So,
based on the Quran.
Yeah, so it was only standardized later on. So there's no proof that he even spoke Arabic. It's only because we're told by the Muslims that he spoke Arabic.
Yeah, there was a book by Gabriel Sama that I got a while back that talked about that, and it looks more like that it was derived from Syriac.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Where is this one here?
It's called
Let's
the
see
Quran.
Here.
Is it Blue Book?
Oh,
No, that's one of them. But yeah, that's one of them. There's another one by Gabriel Sama called the Quran misinterpreted, misread, and miss something else. I forget the last part of the
mistranslated.
There it is. That's it.
It's in my. This is
you
my.
You won't find any of
two
those
read.
books in a certain library. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's research. Yeah.
Okay. Let's. Can we go? Can we go to the next one?
You have my permission. You have my permission.
All right. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate you so much. All right. Let's see. Jesus never married. And I'm not saying that marrying is a bad thing at all. Of course, it's just an institution ordained by God. But Muhammad had 11 wives at the same time, which is very problematic. Anybody
he's allowed to do that, and nobody else.
Right? Yeah, and evidently the God of the Quran prescribes up to 4, but I'm trying to figure out under in whose world would that be okay? I mean, whose world? It would only be in a misogynistic type culture where that would be okay. You know, when we think of Jesus ordaining marriage between one man and one woman, the book of Genesis ordains marriage as being between one man and one woman. And the only, when we start looking at, having all these, multiple wives, that was never ordained by God. And so are you going to tell us that now after 4,600 years of theological history, that God's finally changed his mind and said, okay, gentlemen, now you can have 4 wives? That's absolutely crazy. That's just absolutely insane to think that this is from the same God.
Well, David Koresh, he always got new revelation that he could have more wives, or that men could not sleep with their own wives, but could only sleep with him. By the way, are you on the new computer? Because you're awful blurry and you're kind of chopping up a little bit. Anybody else noticing that? Or is it me?
All right.
Do I look blurry?
Anybody else?
Yeah, you're a little blurry, Eric.
Am I blurry?
Yeah.
You're kind of choppy a little bit too.
Do I sound choppy to you guys?
Sometimes, yeah.
Please, not sounding.
Right there, you chopped.
I'm doing it.
Right now,
I was just doing it on purpose. I was just making a joke.
Okay.
Oh, I need to behave. Okay.
It's April. It's April. You can still do a full joke.
Punchy today. Okay, so he never married, and Muhammad had 11 wives, and we look at, Muhammad's feelings about women. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Jesus performed many miracles, ranging from, healing people from, things like leprosy, for crying out loud, and, getting people that were blind to see, casting out demons. Muhammad, nothing. Oh, wait a second. I don't have this up on the screen.
Well, Muhammad created the dead.
That's true. He made people dead. He made people dead.
Yeah.
But that's not miraculous.
That's the point. Right. That's the point I'm going to make here in a minute. So we have, performed 0 miracles. So when we're doing a side-by-side comparison, there isn't any comparison at all, other than maybe you could say, okay, the calendar thing. All right. and dying a disgraceful death. But, you know, as far as the disgraceful death is concerned, that was purposeful. That was part of God's plan. And then so is his resurrection. But, of course, Muhammad is still in his tomb. Okay, Jesus never sinned in his life. And when we look at Muhammad, he had to pray for forgiveness of his sins. And when you talk to, and I've had these conversations with them, they'll say that Muhammad was the most perfect man to ever live. Have you guys heard this before?
Yes. It makes me laugh. It just makes me laugh.
A man that sinned 70 times 7 in a day? Yeah, okay.
I heard it.
Yeah.
They have to define sin. You know, they redefine sin.
They redefine everything.
What's good and what's bad in Islam.
Well, that's a great point, because what is bad is good, and what is good is bad. It's just kind of like today. It sounds like
Isaiah 5:20. Isaiah 5:20. Woe unto those.
Just like lefty DAs, man, they decriminalize crime and then say that crime is lower in their crime rating cities. Then they actually prosecute people who defend themselves against criminals, okay, when they're attacked by criminals. See, those are really the criminals, the people that defend themselves. Like the guy in Texas who shot the Antifa dude that was pointing the AK-47 at him. We had in New York the what do you call it, the barista worker, not barista worker, but bodega worker who killed the guy that was attacking him behind the counter. And then just recently they had a guy, literally a garage worker, you know, public garage worker, caught a guy breaking into cars, confronted him. The guy breaking into cars pulled an illegal gun, clearly because he was a criminal, should not be owning a gun, shot the garage employer, but then the garage employer, while they were struggling for the gun, the garage employer got the gun from him and shot him. Well, guess what? The garage worker was charged not just with attempted murder, but with illegally possessing a firearm, because the firearm was stolen and not his. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's just a world that's just upside down. And
hey, that's New York City. That's New York City.
Well, it's coming to a theater near you, because
it's not New York State. Please understand, New York City is I mean, that's why there's a movement in New York State to separate New York City from the rest of the state.
Well, but what I'm saying though, Paul, is that regardless of where you're at in the United States, this is the type of logic thought processes that is just starting to permeate the country. And it's not, it doesn't even hardly even make the news anymore when insane stuff like this happens. It's only because we have the internet and we're able to get stories out like that, where before this would have been buried. Okay, let's go back. All right. All right. Jesus taught love, grace, forgiveness, and tolerance. And Muhammad, well, he receives permission from God to fight those who do not believe. Now we can recite 929 right here, I think. Let me see if I can bring that up. Where is that? Is that it? Yeah. Let me go over here and bring up. What did I do with it? There it is.
You need it, I can pull it up.
I got it right here. 929. 28:29, and it says, fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last day. Let me put this up on the screen. Or in the last day, and who do not consider unlawful what Allah and his messenger have made unlawful, or do not consider unlawful what Allah and his messenger have made unlawful, and who do not adopt the religion of truth from those who are given the scripture. Fight until they give the jizya willingly and are humble. Fight. And
wait, what's the religion of truth?
Yeah, the religion of truth.
Jesus is the truth. They got a book that lies. A book of filthy communication. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out that it says it's explained in detail, and it's not giving us the detail on that.
Well, there's no details in the Quran. It's pretty bad.
Well, I mean, this is where let's see if I don't this is exactly the opposite. This is opposite world when we start talking about, you know, who was Muhammad a prophet after the pattern of Abraham, Isaac, and David, Moses, and all those other Old Testament prophets. And it's clear, it is absolutely clear when we start seeing verses like this, because this verse isn't descriptive. When you go, and this is one of the major complaints that we always find, is that, oh, in the Bible, it says there in the book of what is it, Exodus, and, you know, or was it Numbers? So they go out and kill all the Amalekites, you know, down to the very last one. Well, that was descriptive, describing what God commanded the Jews to do to the Amalekites, who had been evil for centuries, who were actually sacrificing their children, fire sacrifice, burnt offerings of their own children to Baal, to Satan, for crying out loud. And then God has them destroy the Amalekites, and it's described in the Bible. But here's what look what it says. This is a prescriptive. Let me put this back up here. This is a prescriptive injunction. It is telling you this is what you're supposed to do. Fight those who do not believe in Allah. It doesn't say give you any. It doesn't give you any time limit on that. Does it say fight them until what? Until what? Until they give the jizya.
Well, they ain't getting my money.
Well,
they ain't getting my money. They ain't getting my heart, my soul, nothing. Lord rebukes you, Satan.
Amen. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% with that. The only people getting my money is the IRS. They just and people. We did our taxes yesterday, and I walked out of there. I was just numb. It's like, I'm just a teacher, for crying out loud. How can you take that much money from me? And I figured out what the problem was.
Bidenomics.
No, my wife, she makes a lot of money. That's right. So I'm going to blame somebody for that. Okay, so we're looking at the difference in, okay, there you have Muhammad, who is prescribing to, or we should say Allah, but here you have Muhammad repeating what Allah says, evidently, that you should fight those who do not believe in Islam, do not believe that Muhammad was a prophet. And if they don't, well, then if they pay the jizya, then that's okay, which is, you know, the extortion tax, kind of like a mob with a god.
It's a tax to be allowed to live.
Right, and on top of that, on top of that tax, you remember all those things that we've gone through the Pack of Umar several times on the show. I'm a firm believer in repeating lessons, but we've gone through the Pack of Umar several times, and I mean, you can't own a weapon if you're a dhimmi. You can't own a weapon. You have to wear certain types of clothes. You have to cut your hair a certain type of way. You have to give up your seat to a Muslim if he wants to sit down. You have to provide them lodging if they are passing by. You cannot build your homes higher than theirs, or you cannot build your churches higher than Islamic mosques. And there's a whole set of other things that Christians are, prevented from doing as as a dhimmi. So when we start talking about, you know, Christ preaching love and forgiveness and tolerance of others, this is the opposite world here. This is the opposite of what Christ taught. Okay.
And all the prophets and the apostles.
Amen. I'm trying to keep up here. I'm keep looking out for this guy, and I do not see him. He has not replied. Let's see here. Let me shoot him this message here. And for 40 minutes. See if he comes. Sorry. Oops, I did something here, and I minimized my StreamYard. Sorry. Okay, go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. The next one is known as the Son of God. Jesus is known as the Son of God and God incarnate in several places in the Bible. And Muhammad is known as the messenger of God. So which one would have a higher status of the other?
Well, angels are messengers of God. So was Muhammad an angel?
I would say everything but that's okay.
That puts the cave scene in a whole new light. So if Muhammad was an angel, that he got his butt whooped by another angel who was actually higher in standing than him as an angel. So why don't we all hear from the original angel that whipped Muhammad's butt? You know what I mean? That's what I would want to hear.
Which one is it? What do you mean whipped? Is that the one that squeezed him in the Hira cave?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that
Yeah.
wrestling match.
But the interesting thing is about that is that the biblical version of Gabriel goes completely against the Quranic version of Gabriel. So if you kind of put them two side by side, like there's almost night and day between like Gabriel of the Bible compared to Gabriel of the Quran. It's like
Michael is the fighter. Michael is the right. If I'm correct in angelology or whatever. Yeah, Michael is the fighter. He is the warrior. He is the archangel.
I think archangel.
I think Muhammad tried to somehow get equal to Gabriel visiting Daniel, because just the glory of coming off of Gabriel made Daniel pass out. So they had to at least be equal with that.
Yeah, the encounter. I mean, we think of the difference between, how Muhammad received his messages and how other prophets received their messages. It's not the same, and somebody is an imposter when they don't follow a certain pattern that everybody expects. And this is exactly what we see out of Muhammad. He encounters Gabriel, and Gabriel, instead of all the encounter. Now, what did you say, Ed, about that last thing with Daniel? What was that last point you made?
Well, the glory coming off of Gabriel made Daniel pass out.
Okay, right. Okay, so
presence.
Okay, but you don't see somebody getting physically assaulted by an angel. The angels are normally trying. Fear not is normally what the first thing's out of there. Fear not. I'm an angel. I get it. Don't be afraid. I've come to bring you a message. I've come to bring you good tidings, or whatever. But they don't come in there and they don't squeeze you into submission. So exactly. we have just again bizarro world upside down. The difference between these two. Jesus is pre-existent. If you go to John 17:5, he talks about sharing the glory with God before the world was. Muhammad, his existence is contingent completely upon, of course, the time, space, matter continuum that we face here in our lives. Jesus is outside of that. Jesus was outside of that. If he existed prior to the world and shared glory with God before the world was, it says in John 17:5, he's eternal. Muhammad's not. Big difference.
Well, actually, according to the Imam, Muhammad is eternal because Muhammad existed in God's mind. So, yes.
That sounds like
but
a good.
We've all existed in God's minds. So we are all eternal, also according to Islamic theology.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Paul asked, were all his supposed revelations in a cave? And no. Especially some of them came to him when he was wearing Aisha's clothes.
Right.
Unless he's wearing her clothes to caves, I don't.
In Aisha's bed. When he was, just saying.
Well, there's one where, the one revelation, I guess that wasn't a revelation. That was a hadith where it talks about where he was, does a child resemble its parents? When does a child resemble its parents? And Allah Akbar, you're truly a prophet because that a child resembles his parents when the dad has an orgasm first or the mother has an orgasm first. We know that for sure. So no, it wasn't. All of them weren't in the Hira cave. That was just the initial revolution. And then right after that, isn't this where he runs back to Khadijah and says, "Cover me, I'm demon possessed," or something like that. And this is where she starts a little striptease thing and says, "Oh well, we know that an angel wouldn't be in the presence of a naked woman." And this is what they thought of women back then. I mean, this is just the mindset, this culture of misogyny. It's crazy.
And what was the
Filthy
tame sheep doing?
communication.
And what was the tame sheep doing in Muhammad's bedroom?
Right.
What is that? The one that ate the Quran verses?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stoning and breastfeeding. And I guess they try to make it sound nice because he was a tame sheep.
This is like Fido we keep in the house, but it's a sheep and not a dog. Because of course, if there's a dog in the house, well, then the angel Gabriel won't come and give you a rip. You can't make this stuff up. Okay.
Sheep. You know, that sucks too, because that tame sheep. I'm really angry at that tame sheep, because that tame sheep ate my favorite verse of the Quran that's no longer in the Quran. The Quran, I'm breastfeeding adult males if they want to work with them. Because, you know, seriously, it happened to me the other day. We ran out of creamer at the coffee machine, and, you know, I'm just saying.
Okay, I'm going to mute you, Rad. Okay. Okay. Where do you go for? I appreciate the application there, the theological application to what was lost, and
Brad is grossing me out.
I know it just this is when you listen to these people. This is what's so crazy about this. This is when you try to engage them in these discussions, and we all know what the main one is. Is is whether or not it was lawful for Muhammad to marry a 9-year-old prepubescent girl and consummate that marriage. And it's just crazy to listen to the excuses that the ends of the earth that they will go to in order to defend those types of behaviors. And this is one of them. Well, that was the culture back then. Really? What culture has okay, I'm not going to go there. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
And they're still doing it. That's what they don't want to face. They're still doing this.
They ain't still.
Mm-hmm. They're still doing it.
Where are they doing this?
It's in our video. 65-year-old marries a 9-year-old. They're still marrying those little girls.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You had a brain fart, didn't you? Yeah, you had a brain fart, Eric.
Well, yeah. Well, I think Red has scarred me psychologically with this idea of having to breastfeed a grown man.
Hey, I got more I can unleash on you. I'm just saying.
I appreciate you holding back and protecting me.
Yeah.
Well, if they are following the Sunnah, then they're probably still doing breastfeeding too, but it's reduced to 5.
Yeah.
But they're not going to disclose that. But if they're,
would you imagine being one of them women that
how disgusting,
has gone through that? I mean, you feel like you've been violent.
Yes, it's a violation to women. Yeah.
Some guy wandering along, I feel breastfeeding coming on.
Could you imagine applying for that job?
Yeah. It is so sick. Try to justify that behavior.
I mean, let's say you're applying for a job. All right. Let's not go there. Let's just drop it. I don't want to go there. That's
yeah, I agree, Eric. Yeah, don't do it, man.
But if I hire you, would you be really willing to? Jiminy, what are you, crazy? All right.
Yeah, you'd have to breastfeed all of those employees just to be around them.
We've seen a lot of job growth this year in the business. My wife can attest to that. That is just sick. Thinking, okay, all right, here we go. What are we doing? Oops, I'm on the wrong screen. There we go. All right, last words. Jesus' last words. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. And Muhammad's last words. Now, this is kind of a stark contrast. His last words: "May Allah curse the Jews and the Christians, for they built the places of worship at the graves of the prophets." You know what's really ironic about that one is that, I mean, look what it says. This is what it says. It says, may Allah curse the Jews and the Christians, for they built the places of worship at the graves of the prophets. Do you know what surrounds the tomb of Muhammad in Medina?
Was it graves?
No, it's a big old mosque.
It's a big old mosque. It's a place of worship.
It's not olive trees, that's for sure.
Yeah. So if you think, okay, so he's cursing the Jews and the Christians for building their places of worship around the graves of the prophets, then why did the Muslims build a mosque around the tomb of Muhammad?
Yeah, it's right inside of it.
Yeah, the irony is just too thick. And on top of this, when we compare and contrast, okay, so you have one where Jesus is being crucified, he's being tortured by these people, and he's asking God to forgive them. And then on the other hand, in his dying breath, he's asking God to curse somebody. Can you get a bigger, not a contrastation, that's not it. A contrastment, is that a word? Can you have a better contrast of how the two are completely different? All right, next one. I think we're moving too slow here. I only got one more slide anyway. Jesus never owned or provided instructions to own slaves, and his commandment, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, is something that we live by or try our best to live by today. And we compare that to Muhammad enslaving people. He owned slaves, sold slaves, and of course, he raped slaves, married the cop much. And he also encouraged his followers to do that. I mean, we have that one hadith where they're asking, what do? We have all these women here, but their husbands are still alive. He's like, that's right. Go ahead. So when we talk about the enslavement, one of the darkest stains on our nation's history, sorry, Dominic, but it was your country that forced it upon us. One of the darkest stains on our country is its history of slavery. And, slavery to the average American, well, not just the average American, virtually every American is considered an abhorrent idea of enslaving another human being. Whereas if you're following the Sunnah of Muhammad here, you can enslave people, you can own slaves, you can sell slaves, you can buy slaves, and you can have harems. And this is where, when we talk about the majority of the slaves that left Africa and went east to these Arab countries, 2 out of every 3 were women. They weren't men to work or fight. They were women to serve in these harems. Whereas the complete opposite is true for the transatlantic slave trade, where 2 out of every 3 were men, and they were sent there to work. And, and I'm not trying to, and again, before somebody says, oh, you're condemning or condoning slavery transatlantic. I'm not. It's just as evil. However, these men, when they were shipped westward on the transatlantic, were expected, they were literally worked to death on these sugar plantations down the Caribbean. Life expectancy was 2 years. You were literally worked to death. Whereas these women in these harems were purposely kept alive and traded around and sold amongst each other for the sole purpose of raping. So there really isn't a comparison between the two. Go ahead.
There are 4 types of slavery. Okay. The first one would be basic servitude, which is what we find in the Bible. You had to serve 7 years. If you couldn't pay, for basic needs and stuff like that, you would serve, like on a farm or something of that nature.
Indentured servitude, right?
Well, yeah, and then you have indentured servitude. That kind of did involve some sales of wives, children, and relatives for oneself due to financial duress. But that was just for their labor, not for anything else. Then you had vassalage, which was for the purpose of suzerainty treaties. It was guaranteed that a smaller state remained the faithful ally of the empire and did not pursue an independent foreign policy. And then you had the slavery type of Islam, which is known as chattel slavery, chains around the necks.
Right. And who, when we're, who was in charge of the West African slave trade?
Well, they were the ones that were definitely getting the slaves. They were coming up with the slaves. They were hunting them down.
Right. This is where they were, right. It was the Muslims. It was, I mean, you think of the biggest slave trader of all time, Manasa Musa. This is where he got it.
They're still doing it. And they're still doing it, by the way.
Yeah. They're still doing. You're absolutely right. They're still doing it in Liberia, Libya, and what's the Mauritania? Is it Mauritania? They're still doing it, or is that the last place it was outlawed? I think it was the last place it was outlawed.
Yeah,
like
that in Sudan.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Chloe. Chloe's asking. Debater was a no-show. That's I hold on. Let me. Here's what I last wrote to him.
Chloe. Wait, Chloe, did you see the video, the latest video? It was like a partial live stream for Students for Life. I posted on my Facebook page. I don't know if you're on my Facebook page, but it was completely shocking. These women were totally and completely attacked by Antifa at some university in Virginia. If you guys haven't seen it, it's on my Facebook page, but it's completely shocking.
And of course, the FBI will do nothing, and so will and it's permissible by the college, and I can go on.
That was the thing. The security for the college would not show up. Luckily, they had two of their own private security guards that broke up a fight that was started by one of the Antifa guys. Oh, it was brilliant. Dude, actually, this is the funniest thing. A lot of them were all these transsexuals. And the head of Students for Life actually says to this dude, she said, "Sir, you got a rip in your skirt. You might want to zip up your skirt, sir. I'm just saying." But it was just totally funny. And there's this one woman, I'm sorry to digress, but there's this one woman, and she's out there screaming, because why do you pro-lifers? Why are you pro-gun? Why won't you protect the living from the guns? And she literally says this. I was at a mass shooting in Myrtle Beach, but even though it was a fake call, if it was real, I could have been killed. Wait, there was no mass shooting at Myrtle Beach.
Let's try that again.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's try that again.
She's all hysterical. I'm like,
if it was real,
and then one person had a sign, forced pregnancies is anti-life. And I'm like, let's take away the narrative. Let's go with the false narrative of forced pregnancies. But how is bringing a child to life anti-life? And then someone, I forgot where it was, some pro-choicer said, well, then you're just, slavery. It's just slavery then. And I'm like, well, even a slave is alive. A dead slave is not a productive slave. I'm just saying.
Well said. Yeah.
But yeah, completely insane. Anyway, sorry to digress.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish this one slide here. You got one more, I think, on here. Okay, Jesus forgave people of their sins. We read in Mark chapter 2. He's forgiving the cripple or the lame man of his sins, and then healing him and allowing him to walk. And then Muhammad is completely unable to deal with the issue of sin. When we think of the issue of Muhammad sinning, he's turning sins. What he did was he turned sins into things that are not sinful. For an example, when we look at Mary the Copt, and he's having sex with her, she's raping her in one of his wives' beds. Hafsa, isn't that the one that got really ginormous? Okay, and he wanted to divorce her. Okay, so he's having sex with this woman in her bed, and he gets caught. He doesn't want Aisha to find out, so he swears to her that it'll never happen again. But then he gets another revelation. Yeah, he gets a revelation saying, "Oh, what are you doing? I've given you these women. What are you talking about? Why are you swearing to your wives what Allah has made not legal for you, but lawful for you? Well, are you kidding me? How can you say that raping, where you're married and you're raping a slave of yours, is permissible? What kind of God would do that?
A sock puppet.
Well, and that's exactly what I believe Muhammad, and when we talk about his revelations, only somebody that would be making this stuff up on the go would say something.
I would say a very stupid person, because most average humans could figure out, hey, he's just concerned about his sex life. And it wouldn't be hard to figure out.
And when we look at some of the hadith and the things that go on in the Quran, what kind of God, 65:4, what kind of God says it's okay to marry a girl that hasn't even began to menstruate, consummate that marriage, and then divorce that little girl? Okay. Let's go on.
The same kind of God that says Tanner stage 2 children should be put on puberty blockers and robbed of ever having an orgasm for the rest of their life because they think that they are the opposite sex. This is the same kind of mentality. Again, like I said, you can take Islam and you can switch it out and put it in communism. You can take communism, put it in Islam. You can take all these authoritarian ideas. They all lead to the same thing. They are anti-God, anti-life. Okay, all right. No, they all go the same direction, and they all fail at the end, and they fail miserably. And that, I honestly think, is the purpose of this. It is to sow anarchy. It is to sow dissentment. It is to sow things, total hatred and enmity against God and his people, that the entire world is destroyed. Eventually, you know what I mean? We end up killing ourselves. We don't, no, seriously, think about what is happening right now in the United States of America with not just abortion, but the whole transing the kids things and everything like that. My German Jewish ancestors had to be forced to get in those cattle cars at the barrel of a gun. These idiots are putting their own children in the cattle cars in the thing of science to get them sterilized. They're killing their own children in the womb. In other words, you don't have to force these idiots to get into the cattle car. They're willing to do it. They're willing to commit genocide upon themselves. I mean, it is just simply freaking amazing to me, the willingness that these people will go to, okay? Just in a total hatred against God. And yeah, it simply, no, it blows my mind. It really does.
Well, it's them wanting to become God themselves.
Exactly.
Because it says, beginning, God made them male and made them female.
Exactly.
And once they're made male or once they're made female, they want to become God and make themselves something other than that. And this is just man's rebellion against. I mean, it's happened since the beginning of time.
Supernatural. It's supernatural. It really is what is happening to us right now. And you can't change their mind.
Yeah, this is where we have.
You can't reason with them because.
Well, you used to be able to think about this. You used to be able to. It was called gender dysphoria. That used to be in the DSM, just like homosexuality.
It is still homosexuality. It is still in the DSM.
Okay, so if you offer a treatment for them, this is what I'm just telling you. This is the next thing that's on the chopping block. Is homosexuality was once in the DSM also, and there was treatments for it. People would go through therapy to get out of the homosexual lifestyle. Now it is illegal. It is illegal to provide people that, or at least for insurance companies to pay for that type of treatment. This is the next one. You watch.
Well, no, hold on. Let me just tell you the irony of this. They can't take gender dysphoria off of the DSM. You know why? Because this crap costs a lot of freaking money. Okay. If you go to the what do you call it? The video, undercover video that was released in Tennessee, Was that where they had the shooting? Or was it Kentucky? I forget which one.
Tennessee.
Tennessee. At Vanderbilt University, where they talk about how much money they're going to make at Vanderbilt University. Okay, just off of prescribing hormone blockers. Okay, and cross-sex hormones. It's like, if you think about it, we can fund the entire gender clinic just off of this, because it's $7,000 a year just to prescribe it, and you only see these patients 2 to 3 times a year when they're on these puberty blockers. The bottom surgery and the top surgery, those are multiple surgeries that they constantly have to recorrect. So it's a lifetime of surgery. So the thing is, they want to keep it in DSM so the insurance companies can pay for it. They want to keep it as the treatment. And basically, it seems to be becoming the treatment for homosexuality, because these kids are just basically homosexual. And you know what I mean? Okay. But anyway, that's what it seems to be. But here's the funny thing. Florida removed it from the DSM in Florida. Well, they didn't remove it from the DSM in Florida. This is one thing that Ron DeSantis did. He removed it as being a medical treatment for gender dysphoria. Well, now they're freaking out. That means insurance companies can no longer pay for it in Florida. So that means, yeah, you're screwed. Okay, fine. If you want to do this to your kids, you got to pay out of your own pocket. We're not going to pay for it. So, do you see what I'm saying? So that is that's the pretty thing. And if you want to end it, all you got to do is do that, and then also have them the ability to sue these butchers that are doing this to these children. That's it, and then we'll end it. But either way,
I think that's on the horizon. That's something that is going to be coming down. Is the amount of lawsuits that are going to come about this? It is evil. I mean, we need to be honest and call it exactly what it is. It is evil what they're doing to these children, or what is being allowed to be done to these children. The parents are just as reprehensible as the children themselves. Well, I don't say the children; they don't understand. The parents are the ones that there's got to be some type of liability there for them.
Well, some of these parents are just as much victims themselves, because they take these children to the gender clinic. And the gender clinic is high pressure sales environment. I mean, they're telling them your kid is going to die unless you do this. This is life affirming care unless you do this. And if you don't do this, we're going to report you to the Health and Human Services, and we're going to remove your child from you because you are not providing life affirming care. Right? I mean, that's how this shit.
Yeah, they're selling it as child abuse. Is what they're doing.
Yeah. But okay. Sorry. Well, let me just finish on this point. But the bottom line is this. Okay, this is not evil. This is wickedness. This is total and complete wickedness. This is something that is being we all commit evil. We can commit evil, on each other. We can have natural evil. Bad things happen, but we can do. But the difference is, this is wicked. This is a total rebellion against God. This is deliberate and intentional to do this. I just wanted to make that distinction between wickedness and evil.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Anyway, sorry.
All right. Prayer. Jesus prayed, told us to pray from your heart. And when we look at what Muhammad taught, he said that you are to go through this ritualistic type process in order to pray to God. And so when we look at prayer, as far as how Jesus commands us to pray, he says to go in the closet and pray. Don't be seen out there in the streets where the Pharisees and the scribes, they all like to be seen by others praying and uttering all these things. And don't say repetitive prayers. But look what you're doing here. You say the same exact thing 5 times a day. Now, you might have some variance to it, but you are indeed saying the same exact things for each prayer. And that's
it's
exactly
17 times a day. They say that 17 times a day they repeat that prayer in their 5 prayers. 17 times. So think about that. What's the most horrible thing about this is their concept of prayer is not prayer. There is no prayer involved here. You're not talking to the living God. You're not having a conversation with God. You're just repeating Arabic words that you may not understand. So again, there's no communication with God.
Right.
Prayer is communication with God. They don't have a concept of that.
And then on top of that, they're disruptive. They'll do it in the middle of the streets, anywhere that they can cause disruption.
Well, that's all about showing power.
Right.
That has nothing to do with worship.
Yeah, but and that's the thing. They make you think that it does have something.
And a lot of it has the denigration of Christians and Jews, and basically unbelievers. You know, it always includes that. No matter where they pray, and if it's a little bit different, like say they pray over our soldiers, I always put pray in quotes, but they always denigrate the Christians and the Jews.
Well, yeah, that's part of that prayer. They say 17 times a day. It's an expression of hatred against Jews and Christians. That they say it 17 times a day. They this hatred towards Christians and Jews, and yeah.
And they never did it in front of Abrams tanks. You know, so.
Okay, so in Matthew chapter 6, verse 7, it says, "But when you pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do. They think that they shall be heard for their much speaking." So when Jesus teaches us to pray from the heart, and Muhammad teaches you to repeat these vain repetitions, he's basically saying you're a heathen, and because they don't do anything for you.
Eric. You know, Eric. What that tells me is they had the gospel, and so a lot of things what Jesus said, that they just wrote a Quran that said the opposite, and that Quran is supposed to confirm the previous scriptures. That right there just exposes them for the lies, the writing lies of their own scribes. Exactly. Thank you.
Ed, were you going to say something, add something to that or no? I thought I heard you chiming in.
No, I was just agreeing with her.
Okay. All right. And then look at the prayer that Jesus taught us to pray. When you pray the Lord's Prayer, he gives you the pattern to follow. But this one right here, forgive us our trespasses or our debts as we forgive those who trespass or sin against us. That's what Jesus teaches us to do. And we were to, just as God forgives us our sins, we should be just as eager to forgive other people who have wronged us. And it's hard to do. It really is. Because that is the flesh. That is, but Jesus is, being God incarnate is above all of that. And he says, look, this is what you need to do. You need to forgive. If you yourself want to be forgiven by God, you yourself need to forgive others. But when you compare that to what Muhammad teaches here, this is, look at all these silly things. Passing in front of somebody who's praying annuls their prayers. Since when is God? How is that possible? It's a sin to pass in front of someone while they are praying. Don't raise from prayer before the imam, or God will turn your face into a donkey's face.
Don't pass gas.
That actually explains a lot. That explains a lot. The donkey face actually explains a lot. I'm just saying.
Prayer rows aren't straight. The prayer is not good. If you look up during prayer, you'll lose your eyesight. If you don't perform the bowing perfectly, your prayers are not accepted. Now, this is something that would come. These are the type of things that you would that would come directly from the traditions of paganism, what we find in paganism, all these little small rituals. And even the Jews were guilty of this when we think about the Second Temple period and all the different laws that they had. There's like 700 or 600 some odd different laws that you had to obey. And it was just, there's just no way.
613.
613. There you go. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. But yet here you have the same thing that is developed here in Islam. And this is where I think where we can clearly see where the hadith are just fabricated based on personal proclivities in prayer, or things that they want done. So they said, well, the prophet said that if you pass in front of somebody while they're praying, your prayer will be annulled. The prophet says that if you pray before the imam, or if you don't raise from prayer before the imam, God will turn your face into dark. Well, the prophet said this. So since
Well,
the Prophet said this,
if you raise your face and before the imam does, yeah. Sorry.
yeah.
But how are you gonna know? How are you gonna know if your face is down? You're not looking up.
Yeah, I know. I've always thought about that too. Exactly.
I wonder if anybody's ever tested that one. Purposely gone into a mosque.
Have you looked at some of the Muslims? They got faces like donkeys.
Come on. I mean,
I'm sure one's lost their head over it.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Well, here's the funny thing. Let me. Okay, so there is a serious controversy in Islam. If when you're doing the washing of your feet, if you are wearing leather socks, if you can just take a wet cloth and go over it. In other words, you don't have to take off the leather sock, okay, to wash your feet. There are two sects of Muslims. I mean, no, this is serious fighting stuff. There is a video of Anthony Rogers loves this guy. I forgot his name, but he's an American. No, he's a British guy, I think. But he was a rapper, okay. And then he went and he studied Islam in Saudi Arabia. Well, he converted to Islam and he went to Saudi Arabia to study. But now he's an imam. He's a sheikh, okay. And he does these videos online. But he was talking about how when he was flying into somewhere, to Lebanon, okay, to meet his wife's family. He got into an argument because he believes that you have to take off the leather sock and you have to actually do the whole wudu washing the feet. This is in Lebanon, okay? And he got up and dude, there was like a physical fight, and his wife's parents pull up and they pick him up, and his wife's parents are like, "What are you talking about?" He was telling him about this. And he's like, "Are you crazy? You don't do that here." No, seriously, chastise the guy. She's like, "You basically start a war over this simple thing of weather. You can just take a wet cloth and wipe over the leather sock, or if you have to take off the leather sock and wash your feet." I mean, this is the level. I mean, they are willing to kill each other over this crap. Okay,
I think when we had Hatun on a while back, and she was talking about the differences in the Qurans, and one of them says, in one Quran it says that you can wipe the feet, and the other Quran says that you must wash the feet.
Right. Yeah.
And so
if you're wearing a leather sock. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like a definite church split to me, where you have the church of the wiping of the feet and the church of the washing of the feet, and then you'd have all kinds of theological denominations drop out from that too. Okay.
It's a legalism position. It's a legalism position about, is your wudu valid, or your ablutions is it valid if you wash your feet? But the Shia ablution is completely different too. So it's so silly. It's a ridiculous argument.
Well, there's things that people.
There's salvation.
Well, there's people that hold certain things holy. They make certain things holy, and you and I look at it, as a bystander, think that it's absolutely ridiculous that they would say. Some people serve communion with grape juice instead of wine. Well, some people think that
those are clearly blasphemers, should be purged, and let's light them on fire. I'm just
right. Saying. Yeah, I mean, so if you're drinking, wine during communion, how dare you? That's heretical. But then you get into all these arguments that are really frivolous, and that's just a great example of it. So I agree. It's just simply silly. Okay, let's go to
and Eric. When Jesus did that at the Last Supper, he never said, and it has to be wine, or it has to be this. It's what they had, as symbolism for his blood and the brokenness of his flesh.
Right.
So Jesus never said, it has to be this, it has to be that,
And this is where when we look at, some people, churches will insist that it has to be grape juice instead of wine, but and to think that wine, since it's alcoholic, so therefore cannot be, used in that type of tradition. But the thing is, a lot of people don't understand. In other cultures, that's the norm to drink wine during a meal. That's what they do. That's what they serve at these. The kids drink the wine during. I lived in Italy, and I sat there and watched children drinking wine. Italian children drinking wine during meals. So this isn't, this is a uniquely, I would say, a uniquely American, or maybe it'd have to be like American thing. What I think it is, because of this aversion that a lot of people have for alcohol itself.
Look at the diet of the Puritans on the crossing. Kids got like a liter of beer. Okay, I mean,
Right,
well,
yeah.
not a liter of beer, but you know what I mean.
They have beer, right? Yeah.
That was
Has
food
anybody-
preservation, and this is kind of one of the things that I mean, you can document this. The prohibition against alcohol. We have 2 reports from Persia, both of them from the Chinese. 100 years before Muhammad, the Chinese ambassador or envoy or whatever writes about how Persia is wonderful. It is a paradise. Okay, you know what I mean? Or Iran. Well, the capital of what then was Persia. Okay, blah blah. It's wonderful. It's a paradise. And then Islam comes to town, and it's totally different. The people are walking around in a constant state of distress, of dietary distress. Okay, they are malnourished. Blah blah blah. And he actually points out this Chinese envoy. I'll have to find it for you, but this Chinese envoy actually points out it is because they are drinking water that has not been purified with wine. Okay, because that was a sanitizer. Okay, you mix the wine because it's a preserve, preserves your crops. But the alcohol content, you mix it with the water from the dirty rivers. Okay, and it does purify it. It is an antiseptic. Okay, and it does purify it. And this is the problem. You can document this. Okay, whenever you take away the antiseptic of water, which would be wine or beer or whatever. Okay, you're going to get all kinds of waterborne diseases.
True.
Okay, because let's face it, those fish in those rivers and those ponds and those streams, they ain't just swimming in those rivers. You know what I mean? Seriously. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, let's go to. We're running out of time here. Got quite a few more to go. All right. Jesus sacrificed himself for others. That his death on the cross was a sacrifice for once and for all of humankind. And Muhammad, no, he didn't sacrifice himself. What he did is he had other people killed for criticizing him. So there's a big difference between the two here.
Okay, Eric.
Yep.
Jesus sacrificed himself for others according to the prophecies. So it matches. That's what we have in the Bible. We have the Old Testament and then the fulfillment, right? We have that aligned so beautifully. Thank you.
Yeah, that's let's see here. Oh, well, Connie, if you would have just waited, Connie, if you would have just waited.
Did I punch the gun too fast?
Okay, was the fulfillment of dozens of biblical prophecies.
Amen. Okay, those are my uncles.
Eric's a fast type.
Those are my spiritual uncles. Yeah, you fast typed that, Eric. We know. We know you did, brother.
Okay, and then I typed in. Go ahead.
Let's explore for a brief second here. So again, what Easter Sunday, what this is, happening, this beautiful day that we celebrate. Okay, so the Islamic tradition on the crucifixion of Jesus takes 2 things. One of the popular ones is the substitution theory. Okay, that Jesus sacrificed himself for mankind. In the Islamic substitution thing, we have somebody else sacrificing themselves for Jesus. Now, there are different branches of that. Some of it was a willing sacrifice, like Judas Iscariot. Seriously, I've heard this one. Stood up and said, "I will die for you, Jesus." And it made Judas Iscariot look like Jesus. In other foretellings, it was Simon who picked up the cross. It was at that point that's when he did the switch. And Allah made the Simon look like Jesus. Either way, you have an innocent man being sacrificed, instead of Jesus, for Jesus. You know what I mean? Why? That makes no sense. Okay, all right. But again,
it does make sense. I'll tell you in a minute why it makes sense. But go ahead and complete it.
Well, it makes sense if you are trying to basically lie and slander and not just that, but remove the saving grace of Jesus Christ. Because in that foretelling, you have Jesus who did not sacrifice his blood for mankind, but instead you have a reversal of an innocent man who had nothing to do with nothing, or maybe Judas Iscariot who did it because he betrayed him and he's being punished. Allah made him do this, or you know what I mean? But either way, it robs of the atoning sacrifice of Jesus Christ. Okay,
Yeah.
and makes no sense in the process. Okay, because here you have this Allah. Well, Allah is so merciful; He would never let His prophet die a horrible death, but instead He takes someone else. You know what I mean? He makes someone else look like him. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
Oh yeah.
Here's my hypothesis. I think it makes perfectly good sense if you are plagiarizing it.
Yeah.
The idea that Jesus was not crucified, that you find in 4157, comes straight from the second great treatise of Seth, which is a Gnostic writing from the Nag Hammadi, third century writing, and in that second great treatise of the great Seth, it says that Simon the Cyrene was the one that died on the cross. And when you go to look at Ibn Abbas and you go to look at Ibn Kathir, they both say actually in Al Jalalain, all three of them say that there was somebody else that died in that place. So if that tradition originated, it came from that second great that great treaty. You know what I'm saying? The second treaty, or the treatise of the great Seth. Golly, I can't get it right. But you know what I'm saying. If it was a ripoff, then you know that the purpose behind it is, number one, it was to deny, of course, the deity of Christ. But if you're ripping it off, it all makes perfectly good sense then. And that's
and you know, Eric, go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was done.
Yeah, the Shias totally hate that interpretation, that it was someone else. They detest that.
Yeah, what do they think it is? They believe in swoon or something, or what?
I don't know. They don't bluntly say that, but they just target the substitutionary. That they're like, this is so disgusting of an interpretation. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, so let's get to Connie's point here, which was that Jesus was the fulfillment of dozens of biblical prophecies. There are all kinds of prophecies that were made of Jesus, about Jesus, and that Jesus fulfilled in his lifetime and is going to fulfill in the future. Well, with Muhammad, not so much. And we've done several shows on this channel where, we've talked about Deuteronomy 18:18, Isaiah, was it 42, Isaiah 29, Song of Solomon, the Gospel of John, chapter 14, chapter 15, chapter 16, all saying that these things that we find in the Bible are about Muhammad, when the fact is that they're nothing but a joke. And when we watched that debate a couple of weeks ago between Dr. Michael Brown and I can't remember the guy's name, he basically humiliated the guy, and he wasn't even meaning to do it. He's he was very apologetic about it. He says, look, I understand that your desire to do this, and if this was a debate about was Muhammad a prophet or something along those lines, then we could have that conversation. But if your point is that these things that you are saying that are in the Bible are about Muhammad are just absolutely ludicrous. They're just absolutely, nobody outside of Islam or will even address these. They're so stupid. I mean, really, Song of Solomon 5:16, where he's talking about you are my Mohammedan, which is what they call the phonic fallacy, or Isaiah 29:12, where it says, open this book, you cannot read. Well, that guy's in rebellion. Or you go to chapter 42, where you have all of this stuff going up in the north. You're naming places that that are named Kedar and Sela that are down in southern Arabia. That's true, but they're also further up north, and they have a more practical application. Or you go to Deuteronomy 18:18, where it says, there's going to be a prophet like me. Well, what the heck did Muhammad ever do that was close to what Moses did? Nothing. So this
then on top,
desperation.
Then on top of that, the original Kaaba was in Petra. Hello.
Yeah. I agree with that. By the way, just for your information, Dan Gibson is coming out with a new book. It's called "The Stones Cry Out," or "Let stones speak, something along those lines. And it's supposed to be
Okay.
coming out this month. If you go over to his website, as a matter of fact, let me just go ahead and bring that up here. Nabatea.net, I think it is. Nabatea.net. Uh-oh. No. Okay, let's Google it. Nabatea.net. Damn.
2 A's.
2 A's. Okay, I probably screwed it up. Here it is. Okay, here it is. Let me drag it over here. And whoops, where'd I go? Right here and right there. And you can download it today.
Excellent. Will do. Thank you, sir.
Now, wait a second. There was a tab here that it said it was coming in April.
Well, it's
Here,
April
here it
9th,
is. Okay.
sir.
Oh, here it is. Okay, yeah. Okay. So print copies should be available by April 2020. Can you read that, guys? Is that
Yeah, it's April
Excellent.
2023.
Good enough for us to know to go.
Yeah, it just says April 23. Excellent. I'll be glad to buy that book. Love
Yeah.
that man.
Yeah, he does great work. I sent him an email asking him to come on to the show. I don't know. I haven't heard back from him yet. He's probably thinking, I ain't going back on your show, Kaffer. You're crazy.
Oh, he's awesome. He'd
He
come.
is. Yeah,
Just
he's
be
a great guy.
pursuant. Yeah. And that
He's a-
that guy, that Brown, Dr. Brown, it's Zakir Hussein.
Yeah, there you go. That was-
Zakir Hussein. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I only got that from
Did
Robert's Facebook. So yeah, I give him credit, Robert here.
Did,
Radical moderate.
well, thank you. Did we do a review of that, or did I just post it? We all watched it together, so we all know what the hell I'm talking about.
We can do a review of it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
If you're going to do that, you got to get the video off Dr. Brown's site because the other guys are suing people.
Really?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I already downloaded.
No, yeah, that's right. That's what they do. They get embarrassed in a debate, and even though there is an agreement that this debate is going to be posted, they then say, "No, we're going to sue you." I mean, it's just simply amazing what they do.
Well, what they did do, because I tried to go out and grab that video right after the debate. I went to those sites and I tried to download it, and it wasn't there. And I sent him an email. I said, "What's up, guys? Why what are you hiding here? You guys embarrassed that your boy got embarrassed?"
Oh, they got beat so bad in the opening statement. Dr. Brown won the argument. He was done.
Yeah,
he was done.
It was ended right there. Yeah.
I went to Dr. Brown's site and got it.
I love Dr. Brown. He was
yes.
He was like, "I'm trying not to laugh here, guy, but seriously, I speak."
And that's what I was saying. He was trying to be so apologetic about it that the guy was just just silly. Nobody takes that type of stuff seriously. Okay, we got to get going, guys.
Okay.
We gotta get going. All right. So, Jesus prophesied of the destruction of the Jewish temple. Muhammad provided no prophecies. So, if he is a prophet, he's the first prophet to not provide any prophecies. I misspelled prophecies. What are you doing?
Yeah, they're actually he
prophesized.
Actually, he did. None of them came true.
Yeah, wasn't there one where the Persians were going to be defeated or something like that? Or
yeah, the Romans and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm.
But what about all the scientific miracles? The camel urine.
He said that the Romans would be defeated in a few years.
Those aren't prophecies; those are imaginary tales.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Exactly, Paul.
Spoke well of women. You think of Mary and Martha. You think of the woman caught in adultery. You think of how he spoke of his mother, and then Muhammad. Muhammad said women were half as smart as men. The majority of people in hell were women, and women could be beaten. So you have two opposite world views of how women are to be treated and how we're to treat them as men. And Muhammad, not so much. Any comments on that?
Yeah. And it's if they fear ill will Meaning she hasn't done anything wrong. Just the Muslim man fears ill will from her. Then he can speak to her, admonish her. Well, she didn't do anything wrong for the first thing. And then he can, okay. Who is it? Al-Qurtubi. Al-Qurtubi translates it in Arabic that it's not only just leaving them alone in the bed, it's you force sex upon them. And then the third one, you can beat them. But it's all based on if you fear ill will from them. They haven't done anything. They just fear ill will. Thank you.
So you can commit what we would call here in the West marital rape as a form of intimidation, or as a
and yes, and just to let you know, I got this from John Isaac, our brother. Yeah. I got this directly from John Isaac.
Oh wow.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Wow. Okay, I never heard that one.
Yeah,
before.
He's the man. He's the man.
John's great people. Okay, let's see here. Jesus taught just 3.5 years, and his teachings are almost universal worldwide. Muhammad, he taught for 22 years, and we still don't know if he was an actual historical figure. I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole there, but when we start talking about the historicity, thank you there, Paul. Is Paul here? Did Paul leave? Paul left. Must I'm going on. But the historicity of Jesus himself versus that of Muhammad, it's not comparable. It's the same thing with places in where he taught and where Muhammad taught. These are not historically known places, demonstrably or as demonstrated through archaeology or through any other form of the sciences. Okay, let's see here. Jesus is God incarnate. We believe that Jesus is God in human form. And Muhammad was a man who is now dead. And I think we kind of discussed that one before, so I don't want to get into that one. Jesus
and Isaiah prophesied that. We can't see your list if you're wanting to show us.
What am I doing here? Come on. Thank
you.
Yeah,
Isaiah prophesied that in 53. Isaiah 53. It'd be a tender plant.
Yeah, Psalm 22. I guess Psalm 22 as well.
Yep, Psalm
22. It talks about him being the holy arm of the Lord. And then who has believed our report?
Genesis 3:16 as well.
And Genesis 3:16. Amen, brother.
Evangelion, yeah. Okay, this one, Jesus raised people from the dead. Muhammad killed people, and he had people killed. So you have one person raising people from the dead to demonstrate his authority on earth, and the other one is killing people and having people killed to demonstrate his authority on earth. Think about that one just for a second and let that sink in. Because
shall I say it, Eric? Islam is. Shall I say my favorite term?
Well, that's fine with me. It's your opinion.
Thank you, sir. Islam is murder. Thank you.
Yeah. And so when we think about what people do today, when we Charlie Hebdo, I mean, one of the most famous mass terrorist actions in the last how long ago was it? That's been a while. How long was Charlie Hebdo?
It's been quite a while. 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, it's been a while. But here they have a newspaper that is mocking Muhammad. So what do these guys do? Follow the Sunnah, where Muhammad had people killed for mocking him. So what do these guys do? They go out and they kill these people at the newspaper for mocking Muhammad.
I think they just posted a bunch of new cartoons in memorial for Charlie Hebdo. But my take on Islam is intimidation and murder.
Well, they let's see. Okay, so it's been 8 years. January 7th, 2015 was when this attack happened. So that's 8 years ago, for crying out loud. My, how time flies. But yeah, and this is a form of intimidation or trying to intimidate. I think Ed mentioned earlier going out and praying in public, taking over entire city streets or areas of town and having these, and praying. Not only is that, trying to show their piety, where we read in the book of Matthew in chapter 6 that you're not supposed to do that, but it's also to show their dominance, as you're saying here, Sharon. They're trying to intimidate you into submission, and this is just one of the ways that they show their strength, is where they get out there and they start. What are you saying here, Kufar phobia? I said 3 p.m. When did I say 3 p.m.? What are you talking about?
Hey, why isn't he on the show, John?
He was in a debate, I think. He sent me a message. He said he was in a debate on Clubhouse or something. I guess when people debate him, they actually show up. Now I could sit here and puff my chest and say, "Oh, he's afraid of me." He probably didn't.
They
have
don't
the right
always show up.
They don't what?
They don't always show up.
Well, they never show up. I don't know how many debates I've tried to schedule on this show, and none of them come. I don't, I know I'm not all that in a bag of chips when it comes to debating. I know that. And so I don't know what their deal is, or what they're afraid of.
And Eric, can I give you a suggestion? Yeah, sure I can. Thank you. When you get on Clubhouse, I've seen you. You get on there and then you're on there like on stage, or they say stage, and you're on there for like 20 minutes and then you end up leaving. Just speak out and just say, can I be after this man, or can I be after him or her? Because I know you want to say something, and
right.
I want to make videos on this. Okay, so just laying that down.
And then the thing is, I don't want to. It gets to the point where it turns into a shouting match a lot of times. I don't want to be part of that. Can I say something? Can I say something? Can I say something? I don't want to be part of that. But I appreciate it. I've been trying more to say things in back channel, and then to request to be brought up via back channel. But I'm not, or not back channel.
The chat in the chat.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the chat.
Yeah, a lot of the moderators. If you got good moderators like Danny, Scott, Milos, they'll say, "Oh yeah, no problem." And I guess just direct them. Milos, can I say after him? And then they'll put you in the queue. Okay. Because I want to keep on making videos of you guys.
Well, yeah, because okay. Sometimes you get in there and you want to say something, and then by the time that it gets to you, they're already gone into 5 different other subjects too. So it makes
sure, son.
Yeah. Okay, so Jesus raised from people to dead. Muhammad made them dead. Next one, and this is I think this is where we end when we read what the Bible says. God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whosoever believes in Him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Who did He love? He loved the world. That's everybody. God loved everybody. God loves everybody. And when we get over here to Muhammad, Surah 98:6, indeed, they who disbelieved among the people of the scripture, that is Christians and Jews, and the polytheists, will be in the fire of hell, abiding eternally therein. And then what does it say? They are the worst of creatures.
Okay, the worst of creatures. Meaning the Jews and the Christians, whom the Quran verifies and certifies our scriptures, claims that we are even worse than Satan himself.
And
worst of creatures. Yep.
Worse than
creatures. There it is. What's that?
Worse than pigs. Khanzar.
Well, creatures. It would be all of creation. Creatures. It would include the Iblis. So we're worse than Satan.
I was just I had this brought up. Let me go over here.
Well, hold on. Let me get back to that verse too. It says that God gave His one and only Son. In Islam, God gave some rando, to save only Jesus from death on the cross.
Yeah.
You see,
yeah.
I mean, the total blasphemy on this, and total irrationality on this. So God loves the world that He gives His only Son to. Islam turns it into, no, God loves Jesus so much that he gave a total complete rando, okay, over to be crucified by the cross. That when they are bowing from the great Trinity of Cess, the guy wakes up and says, "Why am I here?" All of a sudden he comes through. I mean, could you imagine that? All of a sudden you come to consciousness and you're nailed to a cross. Like, what the hell did I do?
This is why. This is why it's all just it. This is what folklore is. And when we look at the Gnostic writings, a lot of that is folklore, is what it is. And it's found its way into the Quran. And this is, many people at the time had heard these stories before, but now they're getting a different spin on it. And this is why you had so many times people are telling Muhammad, "Oh, these are just the tales of ancients. We've heard this before. You're just retelling the same old story. Who do you think you are? Who are you? Shut up, be dead." And you kill you for accusing them of that. But we know today where we can actually do scholarship, and this is the most wonderful thing of being alive today, is that we can sit down and research these things, and we don't have to go into some library and go through, the micro. You ever do the microfiche film? You ever do that before? I mean, it's disgustingly laborious, and you go through those big books of trying to find it. We can just type it into. Oh my goodness, guys! There was a program that I was introduced to this week. Let me see, where is it? I'm going to show you this. This is scary stuff. This is artificial intelligence stuff. Red, you're probably familiar with this.
That's the deep fake.
This is Chat GP.
Chat GPT.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Now. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start calling it Chat Demi, because I'm going to give you an example of this. Watch. Oh, whoops, wrong one. What did I do here? I need to share my screen again. I think I stopped sharing my screen. Let me give you window Chat Demi. Here we go. Chat Demi. All right. You can't see my screen. Let me make it bigger, and I'll make this bigger for you. Okay. So down here at the bottom, you chat in whatever you want to chat about, or you want to find out about. Okay. So let's put down evils, just something generic about Islam. What would be if you're searching for something critical of Islam? What would be something good to put in there?
Is Muhammad a prophet?
List the
Muhammad pedophilia.
List the pedophilia of Muhammad. Okay, now watch what happens here. Okay, AI language cannot make false or defined statements. It is important that accusations of pedophilia are
cannot make false. Wow.
Right. However,
so it's already programmed.
Yeah,
it's already programmed.
Yep,
yeah, I went to programming school. I got my certificate, and that's what they did. They just programmed it. So that's why they say it's false. We can't say false.
Is this subject to potentially harmful statement? Islam, like any other religion, has been interpreted in practical various ways.
Eric, follow up with the question. Is a 54-year-old man having sex with a 9-year-old a pedophile?
Stop generating.
Ooh.
Wow.
Okay, see, it's censored. It's already programmed.
You blew it up, man.
Yeah.
Broke it.
What about did Muhammad actually exist, or was he or did somebody else exist that was called
The program was probably written by a Muslim.
Okay, here's another one. Is Islam murder?
Connie, you're going to get me banned from this site.
You already broke it. It's broken. It's done. You're going to have to close out.
Yeah, just put it. Is Islam murder? Question mark.
Okay.
No, you broke it. It's done now. It's
doing something. I can see it's posting something down there.
Well, scroll down, but it's just going to give you the same thing.
Yeah, scroll down.
Yeah, put the question mark, sir.
Oh, I didn't. It says stop generating, regenerate response.
No. See the down arrow? Press it because your answers
Press
are
the down
down.
arrow. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Here we are.
No, Islam is not murder. Islam is a religion that emphasizes peace, compassion, and social justice. The vast majority of Muslims practice their faith peacefully and condemn any form of violence or terrorism. However, some individuals and groups may use Islam or other religious ideologies to justify violent action, but this does not.
Yeah, we can. This
It's programmed.
This is no good. Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, it's not.
ask it. Wait.
Come on.
Ask it. No. Ask it.
You know what this? Hold on. You know what this is like? Is like sitting at home playing that Ouija board. You know, when you're a kid. Ask it to do this. Oh, no.
Oh, we should do a show on this. We should do a show on. Yeah, we should do a show on this. This would be funny. We'd ask all kinds of. No, but no, you have to do it in a way though. Okay. No. This is a lot of people because I've been researching this and I've been playing around with myself. You have to do it in a way where you ask it bits and pieces of the question, and then eventually you get to it, and then you ask it with all of the above you stated. Is Islam murder? In other words, we have to go throughout all the, can you tell me about the Banu Karzai? Can you tell me about, you know what I mean? Oh, this would be brilliant.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
The whole thing, and then you throw at it with all you said above is Islam murder. So you have to establish the case first, and then, okay, you can sit there and then see if you break it. No, because I did break it. I did break it, and others have broken where it completely shuts you down. It's like your session is done. We're not dealing with you anymore.
I'll probably have FBI.
Or maybe ask why is Islam murder and see what it says.
Okay,
eventually, like you were doing, Robert.
We'll do a show on this in the future. But I just was shown this last Thursday. We were having a meeting with my other fellow teachers. We were doing collaboration, and the one guy said, "Look, I wrote a 9-page essay last night on the assassination of John F. Kennedy," and we're sitting there reading it. I said, "That's pretty good, man." And he had all this, had all the MLA citations there, or maybe it was AP. I can't remember which one he used, and it was just really well done. And he says, "It took me 15 minutes to do it." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Watch this." And he brought up this program here. And I'm like, "Holy crap."
Yep, he gave it criteria. He didn't sit there and ask the question, was JFK assassinated by the communists? You know what I mean? No, he brought up, he had specific questions, and he took it down. No, that's how you got to play with it. You give it your criteria, and then you say, based on the criteria you run it, put together an essay. You know what I mean? With citations.
Well, we'll make that for a future show, and we'll figure it out. Okay, I got to run, folks. I appreciate everybody coming today, and I tell you how disappointed I am that our friend didn't show up. I was really eager to do this debate, but I'll be in contact with him, and we'll see if maybe we can reschedule it.
You'll never hear from the dude again,
guys. Before you get out of here, could you play that link real quick, please? That I put in chat, in the private chat.
What is this? The YouTube? What is this?
Yeah.
Hold on. Stop. What is this? Is it a dog? Okay.
Play it.
Is that what it is, Ed? A dog?
Yes.
Okay.
We can't hear it.
Sound.
You didn't hit the little chat box to play the sound, dude. We're not hearing the sound.
What?
We're not hearing the sound.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. All right, hold on. Let me
redo it and make sure.
Give me a second. People are too demanding. How do I do this? All right, bring it over here. And what happened to my? Oh, here we are. It's down here on the bottom. All right. Stop screen share. All right. Present. Share screen. Share tab audio windows. And all right, let's do this again. Tell me if you can hear it.
No sound.
Well, why not?
I don't know. All right, here, let me do it. I'll do it. Hold on.
Stop screen. Excuse me. Present.
God bless you.
I'm sorry. It's allergies season. What's this called? YouTube. Here it is. Okay. Could you hear it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's working now.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Que llueva, la vieja está en la cueva, los pajaritos cantan. Está en la cueva.
And this had what to do with our topic?
That's
that's Islam in a nutshell.
That's how they reveal the Quran.
It got like 500,000 views.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's like listening to, somebody from Islam, right?
Hey, I should do one of me having a conversation with my dog about Muhammad and Aisha. Because my dog likes to get a little nuts. Right,
all right. Eric, you're muted. You're muted, Eric.
Yeah, I'll be uploading my 3-hour ordeal with 2 Muslims.
What was that in Clubhouse today? Is that where you were at, John?
Yeah, but you know what? I am so tired that I saw the link that said 3 o'clock. I just freaking realized that was my link to you yesterday for my live show.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't send a link anyway. I looked on Skype and I didn't see a link to the show.
For today?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how these guys got here. But there's 2 of them. Well, no, I only posted one on Skype and I posted one in Messenger.
Okay.
Yeah, he gave us false information.
Well, wait a minute, Eric. Eric. Can you say something about the time that we celebrate right now, Jesus's death, burial, and resurrection before we leave?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And this is why today is such a wonderful day. It's the most important day on the Christian calendar. And Paul tells us that I think it's in 2 Corinthians, it's in Galatians. He tells us that if Christ not be crucified and Christ not be raised, we are the ones to be the most pitied. But today we remember that the resurrection of Jesus has given us that freedom, has given us this freedom of being free from the wrath of God and his punishment, because Jesus took that for us. Now, I know people say, "Oh, he's saying he got permission slip to say." No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But we are no longer burdened with that, and we have this blessed assurance because of what Christ did for us. He died, he bled, and he rose again. Amen. And let us all be thankful for that. God bless you all. Thank you for coming, and we will see you next week on the
Cold close.
Advanced student and specialist. That the standard narrative has holes. That's what I'm.
That's all, folks.